Thanks so much, Lot, and this is an opportunity for us to have another sneak peek at our reigning and defending champions in Spacestation Gaming. And for NaVi, getting that upset over C9, they might look at this as work for the day is already done.
Yeah, we know the NaVi boys very well. I had the chance to chat with Jimbo quite a lot, because I was like, you know what's been going wrong? Averaging top 16, it's not necessarily the placements they would be expecting. He said they were putting in the work. He said they were putting in the practice, and clearly practice has paid off. They take down Cloud9, but now Spacestation Gaming is an entirely different story here. You're going up against the champs. What can you show us? Can you match them in any of these maps and modes as we have our series layout?
Taking a look at it then, Oddball Recharge Game 1, StelluR Aquarius will be game number 2. King of the Hill Solitude, followed by Strongholds Live Fire, and to end us off will be StelluR Recharge if they are required. Dan, is there anything you can point to that will tip the favor in either team's favor?
Well, Jimbo from NaVi said they've been working on a lot of strongholds and they're trying to improve on that, but they do feel like Oddball is one of their strongest game types. So to kick off the series in that way, you couldn't ask for anything better, but you are going up against a Spacestation roster who just seem to know how to get it done on Recharge. It doesn't matter if it's Oddball, it doesn't matter if it's Strongholds or a StelluR, SSG always perform well on this map. You've got to come out of the blocks hot here if you're NaVi, but they are going to be in good form after that win against Cloud9.
Shields up, weapons up, we're underway here then. Game number 1, defending champions up against our 9th seed in NaVi. zMightys already got eyes for the ball as he tosses it towards the bottom middle. And I spoke to Wonder Boy just before we came on here, and he spoke about how happy he was and how calm the comms were against C9. That's what they need to see more success.
Well, if you look at NaVi and their history this year, it's been a lot of close calls, a lot of tiebreakers, losing series where they felt they could have won, but there was just one thing that went wrong. Finally, it seems like things are clicking and they're on the right page with that victory over Cloud9. And we'll have to see whether that does carry over, because that kind of belief, that momentum that you gain from winning a series in that way, it's going to do a roster like NaVi absolute wonders. But you're going up against Spacestation, who are just ruthless in pool play. How often have we seen Spacestation lose a series in pool play? It feels like almost never. They are a team who know exactly how to play in the early stages of these tournaments.
And for NaVi, this is a team that last year were no strangers to placing top 8, but this year they've been very stop-start. Like you say, a lot of heartbreaking defeats, kept going to tiebreakers, losing out, and ultimately their average placing being top 16. They not only want better, but they need better.
And it's going to be demoralizing as well to go through that event after event. So that's why I think it was so important. They took down Cloud9, and Snipedrone has support here. Didn't need to play the ball because he saw the kills on the kill feed from his teammates. Glory's going to be in a position to maybe kill the spawners here because Spacestation are 4 dead. NaVi have got the ball once more, and I like this. Keep it over towards blue. If you can get this kind of pattern, this kind of rhythm, it is so frustrating to play against, because when you break that setup, the ball goes off the map and you have to start all over again.
This is Glory's second tournament playing with NaVi boys. Just has one more LAN worth of experience. How valuable might that be for the young man? 5 kills, just a 1 death so far. And they need him fit and firing, and he's been doing that, particularly against C9. Like you say, like we keep saying, this is SSG. This is a different beast entirely.
Yeah, I asked Jimbo about Glory. What was the addition like? Did he feel like he performed well at Salt Lake City? And Jim said, look, there wasn't necessarily the chance for Glory to perform. We underperformed as a squad and we didn't really get that opportunity to show what Glory is capable of. But now they look like they are in good form. It looks like he's going to get the chance to play a little bit more games of Halo, because the format's going to be different as well, which does benefit a lot of these squads who have been struggling to get out of full play. But NaVi are now in a position where they could be finishing second in their pool. And of course, right now, they're trying to hope to get first if they can take down SSG, as Spacestation still yet to score a point, and they find themselves 4 dead once again.
NaVi playing this one pretty textbook so far, ensuring SSG are yet to get time on the ball. 34 seconds in their favor. Quick reset comes through. Eco will now pick it up, but only for a moment. He's immediately pressured over towards batteries. Bound on Whirlpool, dipping and diving, sliding around, gets a trade. Beautiful from him. zMightys gets a double kill, and it's 2 dead for the moment. With StelluR and Pznguin up against Snipedrone and Jimbo on a battle edge. It's going to be the point of engagement. Snipedrone comes out on top.
Another thing that Jimbo said, there's going to be a lot of this, by the way. I spoke to Jimbo. I didn't know if I've mentioned that. But he said they've been working on their slaying ability. And I think that's evident here. You're outslaying the champions. But what's important is you're not allowing the objective to get away from you. So many teams can be good at slaying, but then a team like SSG will often punish you by getting that one setup, getting that time, and then suddenly finding themselves winning the round despite being outslayed. NaVi just need to keep that ball out of their hands. But as I say it, Spacestation now are finally starting to score here.
Enemy has the ball.
Glory.
Ball drop.
Over towards Pistol, formerly the Mangly Dangly spawn.
Huh?
No longer. Penguin has camouflage. Not for much longer. It's gone.
Ball drop.
Minute and 44 on the clock. Ball in a neutral position. Nobody really got their hands on it. A member of NaVi has scooped it up and started to juggle it elsewhere. Here comes the SSG push. Snipedrone's in big trouble, but Bound had to reload. Eco on hand. Ball
Nice
will
play.
be played out front base. Perfect from NaVi once more. This is exactly what they need. Keep SSG on the back foot. Keep them reeling. Lovely kill from Glory to answer back onto that. Showing little to no nerves are the boys who usually wear the black and gold.
And that's far better from NaVi. I mean, I think there was a few times at Salt Lake City where Mighty off spawn would kind of dash out, get killed, and then it would be a 3 versus 4. Glory joining him on the push. You've got to make sure someone is there to be alongside the aggression. Both Glory and Mighty, they love to play at a very fast pace here in Halo Infinite, so they do work well in tandem. Whereas Snipedrone can traditionally play a little bit slower, but he has learned to match his teammates as he's gone from the Quadrant boys back on Ascend. And then Jimbo, he's kind of the IGL at the moment. He's leading with objective as well right now. I think that Jimbo really has to focus on these roles quite a lot and allow the rest of the team to flourish a little bit. And 52-30, Spacestation are really struggling, and Glory picks up a big double to make another 3 dead.
Cheeky double kill for the Irishman.
Enemy has the ball.
He heads back towards blue. Eyes on the grapple. Or the repulsor, excuse me, scoops that up. The option to not only play the ball, but play a player if they get a little bit close to him. C-plat then. Bound. See you later. Snap nap time. Sweet dreams. Eco could be the latest victim. Just about avoids the headshot. Glory, full of confidence, sends himself right back in there. Killing spree. Lines up StelluR, but gets shut down. Option for Jimbo to play the ball, which he obliges. Beautiful play out of NaVi, 85-30 now.
Glory by name and glory by nature, it would seem. That's what you need on one of these teams. You need someone who can pick up that shot and can go to work with it. How many times have you seen the likes of Bound do that on the main stage? But NaVi now seem to have a player who can do just that as well, to put them just one step ahead. 3 dead again. StelluR, the last remaining player, is going to try and be sneaky here in gold pipes, but with 45 seconds left on the clock, NaVi at this point can now start to just think about slaying. And if they've been working on their slaying, they're in a really good spot right now to win this opening round.
NaVi doing really well, capitalizing on their advantages. With that said, though, the grapple camouflage and the ball in the hands of that man StelluR. Information has come. Rotation call has been requested and obliged by StelluR. So now he's over by top elevator. 2 dead for NaVi. And now we need to wonder what's the difference between holding a setup, but can they break it against the champions?
Yeah, Spacestation now, this is where usually they're at their very best, when they do get this ball into the corner and they can set up around it. NaVi have one real push here. Glory and Mighty's are going to work together. Jimbo's going to be behind, but Jimbo dies to Bound. So now you need the kills. This is big. Get the play, get that ball down to bottom middle, and try and utilize the time to help.
Mighty does toss it out. Listens to his teammates who no doubt have called for it. Bound goes down. Shock rifle dropped as well. Perhaps it was out of ammunition. But it's down towards 2 dead apiece. 8 seconds required. Jimbo gets shocked and fried. But Glory's on hand. We're running out of time quickly, and Snipedrone's got eyes on it. Nobody from Spacestation in position, and NaVi will claim game 1. Round 1, excuse me. I'm ahead of myself.
Yeah, I know you're excited that NaVi are playing well, but just the round at the moment. But Science looking very good. I mean, there's been so many questions asked about this NaVi roster, and finally they're starting to answer them. And we were talking about momentum, we were talking about belief in yourself, not only to beat Cloud9, but now to take the opening round off Spacestation. They know they can go now, tit for tat, against the reigning champions, which is going to give them that confidence to take those fights. And if you give Glory confidence, he's going to be getting into those engagements. He's going to be putting that shock rifle in your face. So this is very exciting times for NaVi. Slightly concerning for Spacestation, but at the same time, they are not a team who worries in situations like this.
You win one round, there's absolutely no reason you can't repeat the task. Mighty's in pipes, will back Pznguin down. Experienced man in Pznguin waits for his teammates to support him as they now join in the fray. Two members of NaVi cleared out like rats from a sewer. And they scurry out Jimbo towards top elevator. They're going to push him out as well. Jimbo desperately trying to get a trade, can't get close enough to Pznguin. That means SSG now have a gold pipes and control of A, and how important that could be.
I think that's maybe where Spacestation were lacking in that opening round. They weren't able to get that final kill quick enough, which was allowed NaVi off spawn to always be a nuisance, and the final player was kind of getting in their way, staying alive, and then able to use that as a numbers advantage a little bit later on. But Spacestation looked far more comfortable in round 2 here. Pipe setup seems to be a better one rather than the setup over towards elevator. But you can get pummeled by grenades, and again, Glory has that repulsor. Seems to be making sure he's picking it up time and time again.
Glory controlling the sandbox very well here. But as many kills and as much damage was done by NaVi there, it's still Spacestation who hold the ball and still hold control of the map for now. StelluR's getting hassled and harassed. Ball will be dropped. 2 kills in favor of NaVi. It's a 2v2 on the map. Bound evens the odds. Jimbo, top elevator. Bound will take a little bit of damage elsewhere, which will make this an easier fight for Jim if he chooses to re-engage, which he does. It's a 1v1. Bound will fall. And now NaVi have control.
NaVi have control, NaVi have the ball, and I imagine NaVi are feeling good, but there's only one way to find out. Let's jump into a listening and see how the comms are with NaVi.
Yellow there. No, 2 stacks, 2 stacks.
Might be camera drop in, Mike.
Mike
learned to right now.
One shot on camera jump. Mid-bridge, coming needles. Liquor first.
Triangle and needles. Try to rotate ball. I'll go right, one shot. I dive ball glass. I dive like needles. Which one needles?
One tire. Can you even play it?
2 pipes, Mike.
2 pipes, one's 1 shot. Top goal right now.
Exactly.
Gotta be answered. There's 2 tires. There's 2 tire.
One shot be flat.
Another top goal. Bound and StelluR there. One hiding back C.
Pushing you, see.
He's hitting us.
On ball. 2 long. Keep it long. Yeah, 2 on ball. 3 in long. One might glass. One glass. I just got to
C flat.
Glass is one.
Cha. He stacks up.
Play side. Applies you.
Back me.
I spawned it. They're gonna be on you.
Nice shot.
One's top gold weak. Push them. There's another guy pipe side. One shot on the Mando. Absolute on the Mando and another one in half. Absolute pipes. Yeah, I'm trying to.
Push your go says. We're pinching. Go says weak.
Stacks. Stacks.
White pipe. 2 pipe.
I need to move. Nice. Last guy with stacks. He's probably camo jump. Rotate.
I'm throwing up.
I'm getting A. One top. Liam, if he comes. Someone come switch with me. Yeah, drop snipers. One shot camo box. Absolute camo box right now.
Yo, top goal lead already.
Okay.
Sure with me.
Yeah, I'm coming up.
One shot top goal, guys. I don't see him.
Where? Palace.
He was not hitting the snipe.
Watch your pipes. Come on, go behind you, V. Watch your pipes. Absolute pipes. Got pipes.
You got snipe on.
I threw a ball out. Stacks. Ball stacks. He's bringing the tower.
Good snipe as well. Somewhere big.
One maybe.
Come on.
Needles.
Needles half.
Weak.
Still one dead.
Well, very often we say cool, calm, and collected comms, but they very much were calm, and I think it does NaVi a world of good to be able to kind of communicate in that way and make sure they don't get ahead of themselves here as they currently have the lead in the map. But of course, they are down in round number 2 here against SSG.
3 dead. Spacestation now hold the advantage. 25 seconds required to tie up the ground.
Enemy team nearing
Bound
victory.
has gold pipes on lock for a moment. We'll be able to milk this time before anyone on NaVi can contest. Here comes Glory. Through Whirlpool, information has already come. Pznguin's engaged. Down goes the Irishman. 10 seconds then required. Too many members of NaVi too far away. Bound continues to swing this ball from left to right. Looking at his teammate, who's now just a corpse. Time will elapse. We're all tied up here. SSG right back into it.
And that was a far more expected round from Spacestation. This is what we used to be seeing when they get that ball into a setup. So difficult to break, and NaVi just struggled a little bit with their pushes. So I think the lesson will be learned here for NaVi is don't allow Spacestation to get that setup. That's what happened in round number 1. They contested them so early, they outslayed them, they got 4 down multiple times, just as they've done here, and they kept getting that ball over towards blue. Similar strategy happening now. NaVi taking that ball to blue because they know Spacestation are very good at breaking setups. Well, what's the best way to counter that? Get into a position where that ball can be played.
Incoming.
Very clear game plan from NaVi. Move that ball blue any chance they can.
Has the ball.
But now they might be a victim of their own circumstances. They've opened the door for a Spacestation to do the very same. And now they have the option to play the ball if the pressure gets a little bit too hot. Snipedrone's over towards top elevator. 2 members of SSG there to deny any space. As Jimbo tries to venture out, do some damage. It's going to be a trade 1-for-1. Blaze with the shock rifle might be able to do a little something here and capitalize on the advantage that he has. The answer's no. Shut down. Jim, last man standing. But he's only a fresh spawner off a recent trade. So a beautiful hold from SSG.
Yeah, concerning times now for NaVi because Spacestation are starting to heat up and get into positions individually where they're more than happy to challenge NaVi, and NaVi struggling a little bit off spawn as Eco almost rips off Snipedrone's face. It's good that they've at least isolated Eco ever so slightly because now they can get aggressive on towards this ball. Snipedrone, he's very keen to shut down Eco here, and he'll do just that with a sticky nade, but 3 are dead for NaVi. Snipedrone's the last remaining player to try and take this fight, but Bound is always going to win those pips. A very good off spawn for NaVi to make sure they're listening to callouts.
Zmitys and Penguin engage once more. It's the local from the Antarctic who comes out on top this time.
I mean, the spawns are very staggered at the moment, so that's why we're seeing a lot of 1v1s happening, and I can't express enough how important that 1v1 was for Penguin to win against Mighty, because it allowed now the ball to be moved over towards elevator here for a potential setup.
SSG continue to hold, inviting pressure on, opening up the map. As NaVi begin to squeeze. Bound will be the first contact here for Snipedrone. The combination of him and Glory to the job done. Double kill for Glory. And that's the first time they've been able to successfully break a setup in quite some time. There's 4 dead officially for the boys.
Enemy has the ball.
In gold.
Ball dropped.
And it's NaVi who now have hands on ball once more. It's 36, the target, to retake the lead.
Back to blue.
They do immediately rotate it back to blue, but they've lost the first pick. That's going to mean play ball by Zmitys. Bound gets 1, Penguin gets another. But the map will be reset. And all those kills and that setup being broken amounted to about 7 seconds of ball time.
It was all down to Eco though. Eco getting that trade from being the final player was massive because it meant NaVi didn't really get the chance to get any sort of structure going, and that's when they retreated to the default, get it towards blue so we can at least play it. They are only 25 seconds behind. The Spacestation have not really had a significant lead here, so NaVi just need another set of slays and another chance to get that ball over towards blue.
Here is Jimbo.
4 dead.
All 4 in the grave.
This is the chance.
And he start to shuffle the ball towards blue once more.
Oh no.
Glory tried to shoot the plasma nade, but just put into the pockets before he could get the damage done. And you can see immediately as SSG start to rotate towards long haul. That's the option to break the setup. StelluR's bottom tower is receiving some damage, has to give it up for now. Glory gets another. That's 2 dead. 3. Bound, the only one standing, over towards double stacks. All 4 dead once more. And NaVi can get even more time. They're right back into this.
I really wonder, are we starting to see something here with Glory? We've had so many players historically in Halo who started as free-for-all kids, right? StelluR, for example, amazing in free-for-all, suddenly becomes one of the best Force players in the world. Glory was winning free-for-alls in Halo Infinite, gets his big shot now on this NaVi roster, and he is turning up in this series. 36 and 28. NaVi have gained the lead. Mighty has camo as well, which is going to make it very difficult for Spacestation to break, but he gets baited in by the grapple from Bound, and it's going to have to be a play. A great break of setup from SSG.
Jimbo's been trusted with the ball time and time again to make that play ball, to recognize and read the game. NaVi have been so composed up until this point. As Glory manages to get a pick from distance, it had to have come from top elevator. Jimbo over towards tower as well. Glory now just over towards glass. looking to get as much damage as he can done. He's managed to get Pznguin down to no shields. Jimbo's on hand, ball scooped up once more. They continue to score and they continue to pull away from SSG.
Jimbo putting on an objective masterclass, 147 seconds for that young man, recognizing his role in his team on this game. And especially on this map, should I say, because he's seeing how well Glory's playing. zMightys and Snipedrone are doing the damage as well. Someone's got to make sure they have that ball in their hands. And Jimbo does go down. It will allow Snipedrone to potentially off-spawn, get some information here of where SSG are going, but it looks like it's going to be pipes.
Jimbo Spartan's going to need to get a pair of goalkeeper gloves soon enough because it's been safe as houses with him. 152 seconds. But as quickly as you can build the lead, SSG can get right back into things. As they're now within 12 seconds. 3 dead once more for NaVi. They have to be careful here not to give away too many easy deaths.
Yeah, over towards elevator for Space Station, and NaVi just need to wait for everyone to be up so they can have one proper push here. You can use the camo to your advantage because I don't think SSG are going to be aggressively watching it, and this is a good grenade. Force Pznguin back and allow Jim to now grab that camouflage. Glory goes down though. StelluR with the shock rifle, a massive kill to give them the player advantage, but this is where we need to be watching. What can Jim do with this camo?
Jim's isolated. His teammates fell around him. The game is in his hands. It has to be him. Damage goes down, but Bounce spots it out. And just like that, he's managed to get one though. Will it be enough? Snipedrone's receiving so much damage. He goes beside the ball, scoops up 3 dead. Final seconds will go to SSG, and they will secure game number 1.
It wasn't as clinical as we're used to seeing for Space Station, but they get the job done. I think what's important here is this is not going to be a pushover series. NaVi are certainly up for the fight here. SSG do come back in the slaying department. They outslayed NaVi by 8 kills in the end, but at certain points in that game, NaVi were firmly on top, but they just couldn't get going in round 2. In round 3, it was close. I think if they had got that blue setup just once, it could have been a very different game.
This feels like the turning of a page for this NaVi roster. This is something we haven't seen before. Usually, we're expecting them to turn up to events and they break our hearts. This was different. This feels better, improved. They're starting to evolve, starting to make progress. A lot of it came through the good help and the will of Glory's. That change might be the difference that they needed. And taking a look at the stats, everybody even enough on the damage, but we spoke about Snipedrone, 10k.
I still will say I believe Snipedrone is one of the best players in the region. He is up there, has always been up there. I mean, Jimbo and Snipedrone have been teaming for like 8 years or something now, so it's great to see them still on the team. But I want to talk about Bound, because in that first round, the SSG were really struggling objectively. Like, they weren't getting the ball, they were allowing NaVi just too much time and too much freedom because they were trying to fight them blow for blow, trying to outslay them, thinking we're better than this team, why aren't we outslaying them? I think they had to suck up their ego a little bit, accept that NaVi were giving them a good game, and it was Bound who took that responsibility to say, look, I will dive on that ball. I will get that ball when I'm a one-shot, and I will try and run it pipes, and it made such a difference for SSG from rounds 2 onward.
And it's important to recognize that early when you notice the flaws in round number 1, and you see, okay, listen, this is what we were not doing right. Like you say, just to drop away the ego and go back to the fundamentals and say, listen, you get the kills, I'll play the ball, that's what it's going to take.
And that's what makes champions. How many times in games do you think, oh, you know, we're better than these guys? Why are we getting outslayed by these guys? Why are these Europeans beating us? Very easy to have that mentality, but Space Station do not. They are not a team who allows themselves to get bogged down, with any sort of mentality issues like that. They are the reigning #1 team, and they will be the team to beat at this tournament. And they do not fault in their first round here, and it's going to be StelluR Aquarius as map number 2.
And with that, very quickly on the horizon, Dan, I know you're going to tell me this favors Space Station, but can you give me some sort of hope or inspiration that perhaps this is NaVi's ticket back into the series?
Well, I think that the fact that NaVi have been so impressive with their slaying ability, and it's something that they've been working on as a team to make sure they are slaying together rather than just as individuals, a Slayer game type is going to bode well for them. But as you said, we know what StelluR Aquarius is like for Space Station. We've seen Space Station make this a playground for them time after time. I think I will constantly remind people of how well StelluR can play on this map. If you allow StelluR to get hot, you are not going to win StelluR Aquarius. home. It sounds simple for NaVi, but it's shut down. StelluR, don't allow that man to go on a tear.
Something that we talk about with Spacestation is obviously how talented they all are as individuals, but how clinical they can be when they have opportunities and when they have advantages, but how disciplined they are in moments in games when they recognize when they're down in advantages, but when they can capitalize on taking map and taking space.
And they were down 10 to 15 kills in that ball game in the first round. They were really struggling. They were really getting outslayed. And it's so easy to get a bit down on yourselves when that happens, but they recognized the patterns and what was going wrong. They saw the game plan from NaVi. They saw that it was constantly a rotation over towards blue, so they set up traps. They were waiting. The nades were getting ready to take out that ball guy. At one point, Mighty was rotating that ball through blue. He died and the ball went off the map because he was so desperately trying to get over towards blue. And Spacestation just used that knowledge to their advantage. They were very quick to be wise to NaVi's plan. So NaVi, who have been putting in a lot more time, a lot more VOD prep coming into this tournament, clearly have some strategies here for Spacestation. But what Spacestation do well is they work out what's going wrong. So NaVi need to win these games just that extra bit faster.
And what we speak about with SSG is they don't slip up in pool play. They go 3-0. They head into the winner's side of the bracket come a Saturday and Sunday. NaVi are looking to upset things here. Almost did in game number 1, but it's game 2 now. Their opportunity to bounce back. We're underway and wasting no time on board with Bound.
And for most viewers, I mean, we haven't seen much of NaVi. Every time they've been on the main stage, it's usually a 3-0. It's usually a deflating defeat. It's another top 16. But when you talk to some of the other pro players, speaking to the FaZe guys, for example, they commend NaVi. They say what a good team they think NaVi are, and they're surprised sometimes with the results. So NaVi have had it in them, but they just haven't been able to replicate the same kind of play style that maybe they're capable of. But perhaps this tournament is going to be the real turnaround for them. The early stages, NaVi will hold a short lead here, 5-3.
Snipedrone gets into a little bit of an awkward one. ZMightys was there to help out. Both ended up falling victim to members of Spacestation in the end. It's a 1-kill game. It's NaVi who hold a slender lead. Jimbo will get StelluR over towards Fridge, slams that one closed. Can he scamper away P1? The answer is no. He's shut down immediately, 2 dead on the side of SSG. It's a 3-kill lead now for NaVi, and this is a great start from the Europeans.
It is a great start, and this is what you need to do. You need to keep Spacestation at arm's length. Don't allow them to get in the control. Don't allow them to start to snowball. You don't want to be in that position, as Glory is, where you're just running away from Spacestation, back turned, and getting destroyed by StelluR. Instead, you need to be facing Spacestation. You need to be confident in your play style. And I like that from NaVi. Push Eco, try and flush him out of that jet.
Kills go back and forth. Mighty's top mid. Has the QT set down there as well. That information will come. Nico will be calling that out, just waiting for the exit to come back once more. Jimbo down to half shields, 2 of the best bursts put into his spine. He will reach Aldo. That's what you spoke about. Turn around and do some damage if you look like you're going to die.
Well, Snipedrone is always the player to take any fight. 15-13, Spacestation just slightly behind, but we know full well that they are not a team who gets scared about being behind, and they are very good at coming back. And it's the perfect chance to jump into a listening now with SSG and see how they're sounding.
200.
Yeah, they're going car 2.
2 on side.
I
can look over you, Zen. I can look over you, maybe. Car 1 weak, Jimbo.
And then Pete's, he's yellow vent, and car 1.
2 car 1, 2 car 1, both 1 shots. Snipedrone was 1 shot as well.
Yellow, dead.
Run blue.
Look at that rig. One shot, car 1.
Dead.
3 dead.
3 dead.
Last guy's not
Front
last
yellow.
guy's
He's yellow closet.
His teammates are all gonna spawn there.
Yes.
One shot yellow closet.
Okay.
One shot on the flag. Shrooms. I died to yellow fridge. Spawn yellow fridge. 2 guys yellow P jump.
Wait, chill down.
2 yellow P jump. Front yellow. Gonna be
Top
bottom
yellow
closet,
and
maybe.
top yellow.
I'm looking at your yellow.
Shot rig.
Look at your yellow closet.
One shot vent. I died. Fuck.
And
Two
car
there,
1 to
two there,
yellow,
bro.
car 1 to
Bounce,
yellow.
jump it up on you.
On your
Two there.
shrooms weak, and 5.
Yellow thrust in 5.
Shot on the flag, one on my bottom closet.
Enemy halfway.
Absolute
Absolute
front
bottom
yellow.
closet. He's on the pistol.
Hey, yo, throws us up.
I'm going to your P. Feedor.
from car.
Feedor window.
Yeah.
Window weak.
Yeah, front play, guys.
Green, can you
On
look?
the thrust,
Look
weak.
right, look
Check yellow. One shot blue flag.
Yeah, going front, going
No,
front.
re-Braden. P2 right now, guys, and chasing Braden.
Two window.
Two yellow P.
One shot with thrust on me. Dead. Dead.
P1 weak.
Needed blue
P2
P1.
as well, P2 as well, P2 as well.
Okay.
P2 behind you.
Yep, chase me.
Shoot a shot.
Watch on the stairs.
Yeah. Dead. Could be
One here,
P2.
one here.
Okay.
He went thrust on that, get that.
QT and 10.
We're down 6.
One top blue. Spreading
Looking
out.
yellow bridge. I'm top P right now. I'm
Yellow
looking
Feedor,
for three.
2 of them.
Okay.
And on my bridge. P1 on me.
P1 weak.
Braden, look at Braden. One shot P1's. Mighties.
I'm gonna come P2.
Nadeju's in.
Yellow flag and yellow engine.
Mighties might flank you. No,
Done on
P1.
base, dude.
Down by 8 now, Space Station, but doesn't seem like it's affecting their comms too much. They don't seem too concerned and worried. They probably still think they are very much in this game, but as for NaVi, having a 7-kill lead, if they can match this pace, if they can continue these slays, there's no reason why they can't find themselves tied up this series.
This is what we speak about when some of the best teams get themselves into this situation. They do not throw away these leads. They trade it out, they recognize the pacing of the game, and they make sure when they get in situations where they can get a trade, they will. 3 dead for SSG. A 9-kill advantage for the Europeans now. Looking to tie up the series against the defending champions.
This is the kind of the map, it's perfect for players like Zmitys, like Glories, who can run rampant, that can take those individual fights, and they're more than happy to just scarp around these walls, use the QT to your advantage to constantly be unpredictable, and then just take those engagements, surprise your opponent, and hope to get some kills. Zmitys finally goes down, but not before putting a killing spree on the board. A 6-kill lead. This game is not over though, making it an 8-kill lead. Suddenly it looks closer to being over, but Space Station will slow this one down if they have to, but NaVi are trying to keep the pace up.
Glory will get one more. Looks towards Pznguin, who's down to no shield. Snipedrone slides out, 2-footed, gets nothing but the ball. Double kill for the Englishman. Bound over towards yellow brick, looking to go P side, and does so successfully, banking that grenade off the floor into the visor. Gets his kill. 7 kills, again extended once more. As NaVi close in on a Game 2 victory. And it's SSG on the back foot and on the ropes.
Every time you say visor, I think of Richard Sims.
Visor!
And I'm sure that he'll be watching on, as he always does support the European teams, as they find themselves 4 kills away now to NaVi from tying up this series. You asked if StelluR was going to be a good chance for them to get back in. I said there was a possibility, and NaVi have proved that they have been working on their slaying abilities and they can match even the best team right now in Space Station.
StelluR all alone in fridge. That 1 kill is locked in by Glory. We're all tied up here, folks. 1-1. Beautiful job by NaVi to tie us up.
And I cannot express enough how important that is for NaVi. You can see the smiles on the face of the coach, Wonderboy, as I'm sure he'll be laughing and joking with the boys. Try and keep them nice and calm. Try and take them out of the fear of playing against a team like Space Station. It's very easy when you get sucked into these series to look at who's across you, look at those gamer tags that you're against when you're taking those BR fights and think, holy crap, these are the guys that just won the last event. These are the guys that could be world champions by the time we get to things being done here in Halo Infinite 2023. But now getting that victory, getting that map on the board is just going to push NaVi to a new belief that they can maybe, just maybe, cause an upset here.
Looking at the stats, a player that's in a game to remember is the young Dutchman Zmitys. 13, 7, and 10. And there were doubts about his abilities. When people were watching his gameplay, he was running in, looking like a headless chicken at times. And with Glory now complementing his playstyle, what a difference and what a different player he looks now.
Yeah, I mean, maps like that are perfect for Zmitys, even if you are running around like a headless chicken, which, I'll be honest, at times in that game, he had the QT, he didn't even know where he was, but he was still able to get that damage down, and I think that Aquarius can lend to those players who like to play a little bit more chaotic. But it was Glory with 4K damage, stepping up to make sure that his team were doing enough to shut down Spacestation here in map number 2. And suddenly we have a series on our hands, and this is not necessarily what would have been on the script. A 3-0 is often what we expect for Spacestation against anyone in their group, especially in NaVi, who had been underperforming in previous tournaments. But I think it's about time we give NaVi the respect they deserve. They have put in the work, and now they are showing up here in Fort Worth.
There is a world where after these 2 games, NaVi are 2 to the good. That game number 1 was close. That 3rd round of oddball was close. As we head into King of the Hill Solitude, you speak about it being that Halo 5 map and who has the advantage. Playing against 2 former world champions in Halo 5. Solitude's going to be a tough ask here and a tall order for NaVi.
I will firmly expect Spacestation to be winning this one. I think that when you look at Solitude and you look at the players that are on that SSG roster, they are going to be very comfortable with it. Although NaVi have said they've been working on King of the Hill, I think with some of these newer maps and modes since adding Solitude into the game here, it's probably leaning towards SSG. But at the same time, if NaVi have been going over VOD, if they have been analyzing, SSG is one of the best teams to watch when it comes to King of the Hill and the way they play it. If they have been able to spot out a weakness or any sort of pattern that maybe they can break through, then there is always a chance here for NaVi. They are slaying well, they are matching SSG in the right departments. Things are looking good for those 4 gentlemen on your screen.
And with Solitude coming up, it's one of those maps where if you're watching, it can look chaotic, it can look crazy, but it's all about controlling spawn points in this. And if you can do it successfully, you'll get the rewards.
You will get the rewards, and then you hopefully can reap them. And maybe that, you know, there is a world where NaVi get to talk about the maps that they've taken off SSG, but before we get there, we can have a little look over towards the B stream. It's Complexity versus Impact Team. This is another European roster, but it looks like they are about to go 2-0 down here against Complexity. There was hopes that maybe this would be the series where Impact could potentially cause an upset, but Complexity holding strong. Gilkey at the moment, the Gilkster with 17 kills.
Gilkmeister doing Gilkmeister stuff once more, only requiring 2 more kills to ensure they double their series lead. For Impact Team, it's almost back to the drawing board here if they lose this one. Then they're looking at the open team as being a potential win and a victim. If things haven't gone according to their plan, they would have loved to get an upset over them. Now the series is not over by any stretch of the imagination, but with them down 2, their backs are against the wall.
And there's the 50th kill, locked and loaded for Complexity as they go 2-0 up here against Impact. And if you want to watch the rest of that, of course, head over to the B stream. But on the main stream, we still have NaVi on that main stage, who are having a darn good series against SSG, which, even as a European, even as a fan of this NaVi roster, was unexpected.
Yeah, I think we expect, and listen, we've got good evidence.
We do.
We've got good evidence to show exactly why we expected NaVi to get 3-0 by SSG. It's because time and time again this year, that is what we have seen. But this is a new look NaVi.
It is a new look NaVi, and things changed when they took down Cloud9 3-0 earlier. I think that was such a huge changing point for their careers, for their season, and going into potential worlds, which, you know, NaVi are looking in a really good spot to secure one of those worlds places. If it's not via top 8 of this tournament, being one of the top 2 European teams via points is highly likely, if not almost guaranteed at this point for NaVi. But they need to start thinking, where was his fingers going there? Careful,
no,
come on, you're on the main. See, this
You're...
is main stage lack of
He's
experience
not in his
from
bedroom
Glory.
anymore.
Come on, man.
We can see that stuff.
It's okay, we can delete it off the VOD. Can we delete it off the VOD?
Probably not.
That's a shame for him, but it's okay, we can GIF it and we can share it to him later.
Yeah, he'll like that.
King of the Hill Solitude. So for me, this is one of the game types which is very different to a lot of the other King of the Hills, because there are several hills that if you give up, you can't really set up for the next hill too successfully, because they're in very vulnerable areas. There's a lot of other maps where you give up a hill, you can set up and you can get almost half of that hill before the other team even gets a chance to break. It's not necessarily the same on Solitude. There's a lot of open areas. The top middle one, so difficult. The one at lower dip, so difficult to try and hold. Even the one on runway is almost at times impossible with the amount of nades that can come down, and then the truck spawns to be able to shoot you off spawn as well.
I mean, the only hill you can really look at as almost a guarantee if you can hold it well enough is driveway, and that's the second hill. How much time will you have left by the time you get to hill 4 and 5? But this first hill could be pivotal in what way this one swings. Advantages lie out there for SSG and indeed NaVi to capitalize on. but it's for NaVi here to make this one for the ages, to make this a game, to make this a series, and show us that it's not just a flash in the pan. And we're on board with Glory. As he patrols yard, Eco's going to Chal, Eco's going to fall. There's one thing that man can do, is hit shots.
Pznguin's going to be the second one to run into his reticle there, and Glory very patient to wait, and now already NaVi is scoring. Now you need players like Jimbo, who has been objectively focused this series, who are prepared to put their lives on the line, get top middle, use that QT to do what Jimbo's doing, get your shields back, and then you can just zip back up to top middle. Never mind. Usually you can zip back up to top middle, but he wasn't able to get it in time.
He didn't do the zip thing.
He didn't do the zippy zappies, no.
It's 3 dead for a moment for NaVi. And StelluR with snipe. And they're leaving blue open. zMightys just about came around the corner, but victim of timing. Keeps his head because StelluR wasn't looking. 2 kills in favor of NaVi then. StelluR might start looking at wasting some of this ammunition if he starts to get pressed. Down on garbage truck. Or what was once a garbage truck looks more like an oil truck now of some description. Maybe it's carrying fuel, something of value anyway.
It's definitely grey.
That's not a Prius anymore either.
That's a rock. I still call it Prius though, just for, you know, the good old days.
We're purists is what we are.
3 dead for NaVi, and now a chance for Spacestation to score. Now it is important to try and control yard a little bit, because if you give up light rifle too much, it's one of the best angles to challenge top middle. You can peek out, you can shoot top middle, you can peek back in, and even though, yes, you will be grenaded, if you do it together, you can just wipe that hill guy out instantly and take them and stop them from scoring.
You want to secure hill number 1, you need light rifle and you need glass. They're the most important areas to hold down for your teammate. Yes, you might get grenaded from flowers, but it's worth the risk and it's worth the gamble. zMightys is now controlling snipe. With SSG now unawares, back whack goes in. Free and easy kill for zMightys to do a little bit of damage on Diff, back away. Bound and StelluR will hassle him. Harry. Not Wonder Boy. Different kind of word. Glory's down S1, will get pushed away. StelluR likes to maintain some social distancing, even still.
Got to make sure you're safe, even in the year of 2023. Hill now being started gobbled up by Pznguin. I don't know if Pznguin's gobbled, but it doesn't matter. He's going to secure the first hill, and Spacestation have the lead now. Now, this is the hill we were talking about down towards driveway. You can get some good time early on if you set up for it, but you are still vulnerable to those grenades and the spawns over towards truck.
This is the hill that we spoke about. Positioned on top driveway. Maybe a bit of a scramble for a while until teams can figure out exactly how to control the spawns. You can see exactly why Snipedrone wants to stay in and around this area to make it very difficult for him to get cleared out. He will be though. zMightys on driveway will also get handled. This is exactly what you don't want to see if you're a NaVi fan. As now SSG have full control of this side of the map.
Yeah, you want to try and have loot control, glass control, yard control, and the hill. You want to funnel them up driveway, really, because once they start to push up, they're very vulnerable. You can get those grenades down. You can challenge, but Glory hits the shot. How important could that shot be for NaVi here? Because they stopped the hill. They're now able to get all 4 dead, with StelluR being the last, and now NaVi can start to score. Glory regains loot control.
Setup broken then. SSG didn't have the stranglehold that they needed. Lock down hill number 2. Survive. Live. Live, young man. Falls. He does not live. 2 dead for SSG. 2 dead for NaVi. StelluR has just about the damage advantage over Snipedrone. Jimbo should be there and is there. This last remaining member of SSG did stick his toe inside the hill. It was Eco recognizing the time wasn't there to capitalize on. Has to give it up. Ultimately falls over towards glass, and they continue to trade over here towards driveway. 3 dead for NaVi, and this could be the moment for SSG to lock it down once more.
Yeah, this could be the second hill, unless Snipedrone can get it picked with some grenades, but Pznguin's wise to it. Jimbo is going to be able to get one, and it's not going to be the hill secured just yet. Jimbo's been very sneaky with his play, and I'm loving seeing how objectively focused he has been. Even if he's the last player remaining, he's been very aware of if there's a player in that hill, if he has to take them out, or if he has to get there in himself. But Snipedrone goes down, and now that should be the hill for Spacestation. They make it 2-0.
Hill moves once more. Over towards Dip we go. Sniper rifle for StelluR, and that is a frightening sight for any fans of the European outfit. He now positions himself towards Flowers and now rotates towards Cafe and zMightys. Down to no shields in. That's the end of him, 3 dead. And they're locking down blue spawns, which is exactly what they needed to do. Expect to see NaVi spawning in towards Yard, Loop, and Posters area. That's where the push is going to come from. They have got over towards Snipe here for a moment. They have got in the hill, and that's why StelluR starting to venture out a little bit. Damage has been done. GloryGGz gets 2.
3 are dead, Bound's the last remaining player, and he doesn't get the trade, so that's good for NaVi. They can get some really hot time now, down towards lower dip.
Can you explain to me the difference between hot time, cold time, and room temp time?
Room temp time is one of those times where you're just not feeling that great. Hot time is when, you know when time flies? The expression, yeah, that's hot time. Cold time is when you're staring at that clock, when you're in like an exam or something. It's boring time, that's cold time.
It's the worst time.
But it has been some hot time for NaVi, and they need this hill. 2 minutes 24 still on the clock, so still plenty of time to play with. The last thing you want is to be going 3 down or find yourself a couple down going into that hill when it resets to top middle.
3/4 of the way there then for NaVi. It's SSG who reclaimed the hill. StelluR gets out for a moment. Looks to re-engage, but down to no shields, and zMightys on hand to get the kill. Eco's being backed up, has to put it in reverse. He's done some damage to answer back, but ultimately takes a different angle. But NaVi are in the hill. NaVi are scoring, but zMightys will fall as he desperately tried to live. Glory tries to get a trade. Unable to do so. They need just a sliver of time now.
Yeah, just be a little bit more patient, wait for the spawners, and then you can all kind of dive together. Team nade there onto Bound. That's not going to do anyone any favors at the moment for Spacestation.
It'll do NaVi favors.
It will do NaVi favor. Jimbo gets the opener, here comes the pick. Now Snipedrone dives in, and this should be the hill here for NaVi to make it 2-1. Even with the kill from Eco, Jim will secure, and now they can move over towards Snipe.
Hill moves, as does NaVi. Blue spawns for Spacestation. Have some long-range fights. They're just a little bit vulnerable from a top-mid push for the moment. Snipedrone's got the opener though. 2 members of SSG are positioned top-middle. Eco's got 1, and it wasn't traded out over towards light rifle. Jimbo does get there in the end to apply the finishing touches to it. They continue to spawn over towards blue. They're being kept at arm's length by NaVi then. Hotel push coming, garbage truck, and here comes Bound on the S2. Jimbo has the use of the thruster, but just put himself back into the wall. It didn't really alter his hitbox at all. Now SSG have control, but NaVi have got so much good time.
So much time here. They just need to make sure they don't allow Spacestation to get too heavy a setup. StelluR with the QT is going to be able to reposition himself at any point. One thing I will say is NaVi are holding their own individually, all stepping up to the plate and getting the slays. They are outslaying Spacestation by 2. Make it 1 now with Pznguin getting that kill onto Mighty. Snipedrone will be able to take the fight, wins the fight, and now this could be the opening for NaVi, but they need to go. 2 go down, and Spacestation might be able to rip this hill away from them, which would just break the hearts of NaVi.
NaVi, 3 in the respawn screen. SSG will claim the 3rd hill. Heartbreak for NaVi. All that good work done early in the hill, undone by 1 SSG push.
I was going to say it was Heartbreak Hotel, but it wasn't.
Oh,
it was in
Snipe.
Snipe. Yeah, it's a shame. That would have been
so good.
Would have been perfect. But now they need this one, and they need some heavy time top middle. As I mentioned earlier, it is so...
hot time. It was hot time, you said.
Sorry, Hotel, not top middle. Now this is when it gets difficult, because Spacestation can start to play the time a little bit, play the clock a little bit. NaVi need to not allow them to do so by making sure they keep Spacestation on a cycle. 3 are dead, StelluR the last remaining player, and NaVi is still scoring. They're keeping that clock at 153.
Clock at a standstill. Snipedrone thinks it's quiet, too quiet, suspicious. Watches his back, Bound recognizes he's up there S4. 2 members contend with him and will ultimately take him down. 2v2 on the map. Now Eco has the sniper rifle. Lands 1 onto the body of Glory, lands 1 onto the body of Jimbo. In Hotel, blue spawns again though for Snipedrone. And as much damage as SSG are doing, they have to clear them out of blue.
They just need to try and get this clock as much down as possible going into that last hill. They know full well if there's only like 30 seconds left, it's going to be very difficult for NaVi to win the final hill, even if they find themselves 3-2 down. And And I wonder if there will be the decision to step out of that hill. And there it is. Spacestation say, look, maybe we're giving NaVi the chance in this game if we try and soak up too much of this hill time. So instead, it's sit back, it's wait, and let's force NaVi to make a push. Here comes it.
Glory doing damage on posters, but he's received quite a lot in the process as he re-challenges down to no shields, 2 dead. They managed to get one. Mighty tries to zigzag and get away, but 1 shot to the spine is enough. And Snipedrone down, S1 will also fall. 1 minute on the clock.
And you can really see how Spacestation are prioritizing the sniper side so they can always have an angle on that hill and just frustrate NaVi with that 1 body shot with the sniper rifle, force them out, and then a nade or a bullet to finish things off. And with NaVi now, it's going to be 1 last chance to try and push this hill. And even if they get it, Jersey, 40 seconds on the clock for a top middle hill, and it's going to be less than that even if they were. It's not looking good. It's looking like it might be a Spacestation 2-1 lead in this series.
StelluR gets a pick, and it's as though NaVi recognize the tough position that they've been put in. They try and control blue, but Mighty's walks into a firing squad. With 19 seconds remaining, SSG have most certainly made the right play.
That they have, and it's one of the difficult things with King of the Hill. Usually you've got 1 player in the hill and it allows you to push on, it allows you to use that extra man to break through and break that setup. But when there's 4 players watching the hill, it's too difficult, and Spacestation takes map number 3, and they put on a little bit of a masterclass in that 5th hill to just keep NaVi out.
Hill lockdown. Series almost locked down. 2-1 up then. And again, signs of NaVi looking good, signs that they're putting things together. But against the champions, you have to show more than just signs. It has to be consistent, and it has to be clinical.
Yeah, it's just those small moments, isn't it, when Spacestation wrestle back that control, how well they shut out NaVi and don't allow NaVi to break through and get those successful pushes. For NaVi, it's going to be frustrating because they probably felt like they were in that game. They had a real genuine chance of winning it, and I think they will know that and believe that too. But when the shot clock's against you like that, it's so frustrating to be on the receiving end of a team setting up and just waiting for you and destroying you as you try and approach that hill. But it has been a great display from NaVi. They're still alive in this series, only 2-1 at the moment, but Spacestation edging closer and closer to victory.
Beautiful shots from both teams, both sets of players. Confidence flowing through the veins of Glorys and Mighties in some of the fights they took on. And you have Pznguin with the snipe, putting on a clinic at times, landing crucial body shots just to take the steam out of some of the pushes that NaVi were trying to work with. And with strongholds on the horizon, live fire the destination. Talk to me, Dan. What are we to expect?
I think if NaVi have been putting in the practice they say they have, this should be a strong game type for them. But with the slays and how they've been going, NaVi have been taking the early leads. They've been outslaying SSG in the early stages, but SSG have constantly found a way to break whatever rhythm NaVi have found. If NaVi get in the early rhythm and they can maybe get a 3-cap on the board, start to get like a 100-point lead, sure, we might be going to a game 5. But if SSG at any point break that rhythm and get into any sort of control, I feel like this series might be over, because SSG are ruthless when they do find themselves in any sort of pattern and any sort of control.
For NaVi, recipe for success. Keep SSG disjointed and ensure they don't get into a rhythm. They don't have the ability to lock it down. We're underway then. Game 4. It's Pznguin this time to kick us off. And StelluR's got the wig wobbler once more. He's back towards garage, over towards the big door, and immediately looking to line up some players. But Jimbo, make sure he's not being put in a montage clip.
Now, it was shots like that StelluR was hitting at Salt Lake City. He was on an absolute tear with that sniper rifle, and we asked ourselves, can any player sustain that amount of no-scopes going into another tournament? Can you play at that level, tournament after tournament? Now, this is only pool play, so you're not necessarily needing to be hitting shots like that, but if StelluR does find that form again, Spacestation going to be very scary. Now, this is happening yet again. You asked me what was going to go down. NaVi with the early slays, NaVi with the early control, but if Spacestation are able to wrestle it back, and then put themselves in a trip cap, that's when I'm worried for NaVi. So NaVi need to keep them disjointed, as you said.
Snipedrone just slid off the mid-bridge, lands the Superman punch. It was enough to help get the job done over Bound. But now B has shifted possession. You have members back green, do NaVi, try and get the kill onto Pznguin. But zMightys has to expose himself too much to the lines of sight of 2 more players of SSG. And ultimately, he's come undone. As now, it is SSG threatening to put on a triple cap of their own.
It is worth mentioning that Navi's main sparring partner in Europe is Quadrant, a team who is undefeated in strongholds so far in Halo Infinite. And Navi have been able to watch, learn, play against, sometimes be the victim of playing against that roster. And perhaps they can now put that into effect here on Stronghold's live fire. They got a very commanding early lead with 50 points or so, but now they have to wrestle back control against Spacestation. It's bound just being a nuisance on this tower. It's so difficult when someone is a good tower player. I've seen a lot of bad tower players, one standing right next to me, but when you get a good tower player, they can just dominate the map.
I can see that insult coming a mile away. I couldn't do anything about it.
It was low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, it was. It really was. Here comes Eco with the overshield. Perhaps Jimbo's to be low-hanging fruit, because he has the shield advantage. Jimbo is ultimately cleared out. Glory spawns mud and bites off more than he can chew. He gets zip-zapped, bit-bap-bammed. 3 dead for NaVi then. A-B control. About to be C, as they leave A spawns open for the moment. NaVi, very dangerous here. Being put into a cycle, being put into a blender if they're not too careful.
Yeah, this is good from SSG. When they notice the spawns are A, you flip C, and then they'll do exactly the same thing after a round of slays. If they can force those spawns over towards dummies, suddenly they'll flip A. They don't need to go for a 3 cap right now. If you manage to get 4 down at the right time, sure, you can push it, and then you can start to have that fight and get a real amount of points during that trip cap. But for the moment, SSG will be more than happy with just 2 and securing a good amount of points in that way.
2 dead remaining. As zMightys and Snipedrone wait for Jimbo and Glory to get back up onto the map. Just like that, zMightys falls. Just like you say, when they recognize where the spawns are, they're more than happy to flip the possession of the hill that they have. A for C. And if they continue to do that, they'll continue to score. It's 132 and we're still climbing here.
I think what's evident from this series is Navi have been working on things. Their starting strategies have been excellent. They've been competing with Spacestation at the very start of the games, often winning those engagements, but then Spacestation are champions for a reason. They are assessing what Navi are doing, and then once they get into the mid-game, that's when they really hold the power and hold the control. And Navi don't have as deep a playbook as Spacestation when it comes to breaking some of these setups, which is not an insult to Navi. You're going up against the #1 team. I think that Navi should be proud of how they're playing at the moment and how they're competing against the #1 seed.
Historically, Navi's playbook has been more of a pamphlet, a flyer, if you will. But like we say, like we've been saying, they turned the corner. Bound with the overshield. No longer, actually, as he had 3 guns trained on him.
Why am I envisioning now Jimbo trying to stop me on the street, handing me the Navi flyer? Well, they've definitely had more than a flyer this event, and jokes aside, I am very excited to see how well Navi can play throughout the rest of this tournament. Granted, this game is not over, but it's starting to trend towards the Spacestation victory as, again, it's total control. We're up to 220 now, and it looks like they are really pushing the narrative here of let's just get this game done as quick as possible. Did I say quish?
You did.
All right.
I wasn't going to comment.
Quish,
I
quick.
just gave you a look. That's all it was.
It's a new word.
Quish. That's quick and a wish. Jimbo over towards big door. Will back away. They have got control of B and C, so slowing down SSG for now. Perhaps they can catch them being a little bit too complacent, playing a little bit too quickly. zMightys now will try and control A. And SSG looking to flip that immediately. And the slays go in Navi's favor, which they don't. They could be a round of slays away from losing this game.
Granted, this game is still winnable. Navi have control at the moment. If they play this correctly, if they can hold the 2, if they can keep flipping A and C, like Spacestation were, it's very winnable. But Spacestation do well as they split A and C there, and they manage to just secure a little bit of time and force Navi away. But Navi have wrestled it back themselves. We have seen plenty of comebacks when it comes to Stronghold, so it's not out of the realms of possibilities.
Might use the 1v1 with Bound. Doesn't get the trade though. And because of that, B will start to change hands. NaVi recognizing that are trying to capture C rather frantically. But immediately Pznguin goes towards A to continue scoring. This next wave of Slay is going to be so important. The Snipedrone's chasing shadows. He's lost one. And StelluR's over towards Nest. Down to no shields. He just can't get the kill. He's making it so difficult as Bound. Eventually killed. But how much time has he sacrificed chasing that one kill?
And Bound, always innovating, always making sure he's difficult to kill. And also had that plasma pistol waiting for the overshield. A and B so close to being in control of NaVi, but now Bound's going to try and be difficult. Finally get support, and now they can force them out of the hill, or at least try. Try as you might, though, does not work. NaVi's still alive.
NaVi's still breathing. They're on life support, though. 18 points required for SSG to close this series out. But NaVi doing enough to keep themselves in this one. They just passed over, or just about to pass over the 130-point threshold. 3 dead for both teams. It's a 1v1, perhaps for the ages. Glory wins it, keeps NaVi alive for now.
Big fight. They should be able to reset A as well because they're going to spawn over there, so they're still in this one. We always talk about perfect Halo, perfect setups. It's very achievable on live fire because everyone knows how to set up, and it's about whether you can win those fights. And if Bound wins this one, this could be bad news for NaVi. 3 dead in Spacestation now are on victory road.
Snipedrone desperately trying to capture C to keep the points within touching distance, but it's all dead. Their chances of winning whisked away, and it's SSG who win the series 3-1.
And it wasn't maybe a dominant 3-0 that maybe was expected by some. It was a valiant effort from NaVi, who looked like a different class as a team at this event compared to previous. And I'm very excited to see what NaVi can do in their upcoming games. It'll be an open bracket team they'll have to face up against to try and finish second in their pool. But now SSG will poise themselves perfectly for, again, to finish top of their pool and start to look towards another championship.
We look towards the Slays, Dan. Am I mental in thinking that SSG won that game by 1 kill?
They did get 1 more kill, but they are just a little bit better when it comes to the objective. And unfortunately for NaVi, that's just a lesson for them to learn. They've been working on their slaying ability, but when you go up against the #1 team, they're always going to be effective in that objective department. I think that we can talk about how well NaVi played until the cows come home, but we have to give credit to SSG as always. They didn't allow it to kind of upset them in any way. They weren't fearing NaVi at any times. When they went down, they always had the comeback. They always had an answer. And I'm very impressed with just how professional Spacestation are in every single series we watch them.
Spacestation clinical. They maintain their unbeaten run in pools. 2-0 then. NaVi will be 1-1. And with C9 0-2 as this pool now awaits the open bracket team. SSG look poised to head into the winners bracket.
And teams in that open bracket maybe will look at this pool and say, actually, I quite fancy a stab at the likes of NaVi, the likes of Cloud9. I mean, LVT performing well, G1 as well in that open bracket, probably looking at this pool saying, maybe I could have a good go, but they should be scared. NaVi look like they are in form at the moment, and I think they will have a real opportunity here of second in the pool.
I think we have to talk about, you know, potential teams that can come out from the open bracket and upset this pool. And we spoke about NaVi possibly already getting the job done for today and beating C9. Is there a chance where we do see NaVi getting upset by an open bracket team? Because that would be typical of what us Europeans like to do.
It would be typical. We have seen it happen to NaVi before, but as I've said, I think they've been working on all the things that were going wrong in the previous tournaments. Again, against SSG, it's always going to be tough, but taking a map is going to do them the world of good.